One example where the Herodians and the Pharisees came after Jesus, they tried to trick him into an answer by taking sides between the Jewish people and the Romans. In Luke 20, verses 20 through 26, and this is also found in the account of Matthew, they ask him, should we pay taxes to Caesar? And he holds up a coin, and he calls out the image that's on the coin as Caesar's. His response is, render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. And on the surface level, there's a face value interpretation that's very valuable. Give to God what is God's, and if it's not important, give to whoever is asking for it. But I think there's a far more clever answer here when we really understand the fact that he was evoking the image on the coin. And while he wasn't taking sides, in a way he kind of was. It was a very subtle but powerful dismissal of Caesar's ultimate authority. The coin belonged to Caesar, if you will, because it bore his image. But what bears God's image? We do. Genesis 1:27 claims we are created in his image, created in his likeness. While Caesar's coin could stamp his own image on it, God has already stamped his image on all of humanity, claiming our very lives. By way of comparison, the coin is very trivial to that of all of humanity, and I think Christ was being very dismissive of the material and the claim that Caesar might have on the material. We bear God's image. From the beginning, humanity was marked by belonging to God. We were created in his image, meant to reflect his character and live in communion with him. However, sin distorted that image. But Christ, that image can be restored. In Christ, that image can be restored. Paul writes in Colossians 3, verse 10, put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its creator. In Jesus, we see the perfect example of a life given fully to God. Every thought, every action, desiring and reflecting God's will. And by mimicking that, we too can restore this image that has been marred by sin. By mimicking that. Jesus gave all of himself. When we think about giving to God what is God's, Jesus came, the perfect image of God, and gave all of himself. He didn't just teach us to give to God. He showed us what it meant. He lived it. Philippians 2, 5 through 8 instructs that he was in the form of God, yet he emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. What is this image that has been placed on our heart? What is this image that has been placed on our soul? It is that of a servant, that of giving ourselves over to the will of God. At the Last Supper, he took the bread and said, "This is my body. It's given for you." This perfect image was given on your behalf. On your behalf, so that you and me, we could find our image restored to be back with God as it was in creation. What a powerful, powerful sacrifice. As we shift to take the Lord's Supper this morning, we remember this sacrifice, but we also are instructed to reflect on our own lives. If we are made in God's image, then we are his. And this bread and this cup remind us that we must give ourselves over fully, completely, empty ourselves through our thoughts, our time, and what's on our hearts. Romans 12:1, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, for this is your true and proper worship. Jesus' response about the coin wasn't about taxes. It was about ultimate authority. Caesar could claim what bore his image because God allowed him to, but God claims what bears his. The Pharisees were concerned with the demands of an earthly ruler, but Jesus points to a far greater truth. Our lives belong to God, not to this world. As we take this supper, we remember Jesus, the perfect image of God, the fullness of his sacrifice, and we must offer our lives as he offered his.